Okay, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today. We're exploring this whole idea of governance, government, politics, viewed as a utility, like electricity or water.
Right. And we're drawing heavily on analysis from Kartik, who's really trying to connect, fundamental tech and economic principles to how government works, or maybe how it doesn't work sometimes.
Exactly. Why is it that an advanced high-tech society like ours seems, well, bottlenecked by its own government structure?
That's the core question, isn't it? We see technology making things cheaper, faster, more efficient all the time. Think computing power, energy, but government. It often feels like the opposite.
So Kartik's core thesis is pretty straightforward. Government should be seen as a utility. And like other utilities driven by tech, its size relative to the whole economy, it should shrink over time.
Yeah, the analogy he uses, which is quite powerful, is energy costs. There's this chart, right? Shows energy costs as a slice of household income since like 1959.
And it's gone down dramatically.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
And you have to ask why. Technology constantly improves economic output per unit of energy. I mean, think about a 1959 home. What do they have? A small fridge, a stove, maybe a toaster. Primitive compared to today.
Right, we use way more complex stuff now, data, climate control, all sorts of devices.
Exactly. Yet the relative cost is down. That's, market competition, tech innovation at work. Energy is foundational, and we got better at using it.
So applying that logic, if it works for energy, why not government? Kartik argues government should stick to the absolute essentials, the maybe 7 or 8 things only it can do.
Things like, national defense, rule of law, property rights, standardizing currency maybe, core stuff.
And anything else, anything the private sector could potentially do, government should avoid it. Because, well, without competition, it's just inherently less productive, less efficient.
And it's not just about efficiency, it's about danger. When government gets really big, it holds immense power. You can grant monopolies, create oligopolies. Kartik calls this an abuse of the system, often driven by corporations looking for an edge.
So keeping government small actually prevents those kinds of abuses.
That's the argument. A smaller footprint means less power to misuse, fewer opportunities for regulatory capture and that sort of thing.
Okay, and this is where Kartik's observations on growth get really, well, stark. You've looked at these numbers.
Yeah, they're pretty staggering. U.S. federal budget, year 2000. It was about $1.85 trillion.
Okay. And now, 2024.
We're looking at around $6.5 trillion.
Wow. So that's, what, 3.5 times bigger?
3.5 times in just 24 years.
Yeah.
That growth rate absolutely dwarfs the growth of the rest of the economy, the non-government part.
And the consequence of that is not just numbers on a page, is it?
No, Kartik argues this growth is actively sucking, quote, vital life energy from the productive private sector. It creates this perverse incentive structure.
How so?
Well, when government controls that much money and power, it attracts people who are maybe less interested in public service and more interested in, power, fame, fortune for its own sake. Narcissistic goals, as he puts it.
Leading to leadership quality issues.
Yeah, potentially leading to people with, and this is his phrase again, very questionable ethical limits getting involved because the stakes are just so incredibly high.
Okay, that's a pretty strong claim about the dynamics. How does he say this failure actually plays out? What's the mechanism in the political system?
Well, he talks about how getting votes often involves creating what he calls vote banks. Basically, targeting specific demographic groups. And, well, he uses the word bribing them with free money or targeted benefits.
That's controversial language.
It is. And he goes further, suggesting the two major parties often act like a uniparty. It's like a pretend opposition. Similar, he says, to professional wrestling, lots of drama, but ultimately focused on maintaining the overall system.
Maintaining that $6.5 trillion system, regardless of who's technically in charge.
That seems to be the idea. The real energy goes into preserving and maybe expanding that system, not necessarily fundamental change or efficiency.
Which leads him to this really quite regrettable conclusion about democracy itself.
Yeah. He concludes that democracy can eventually become a failed system if a large chunk of the voters can be swayed by these short-term promises, these sort of bribes, or if they aren't really engaged in conscientious long-term thinking.
Voting based on, like, simplistic memes or sound bites?
Something like that. When there's so much money sloshing around, the whole incentive structure flips, doesn't it? Instead of optimizing for efficiency, like a utility should, the system starts optimizing for its own size and control.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? We're living in this time of incredible technological possibility. Real abundance is within reach. But Karthik's analysis suggests the governance system itself is acting as a major brake.
Right. It's draining resources, maybe lowering leadership quality, adding complexity, creating this bottleneck that holds us back.
It leaves us with a really interesting, maybe unsettling final thought to chew on.
Yeah, think about this. If government is supposed to be this efficient, shrinking utility, just quietly enabling progress in the background,
Yeah.
then why has obsessing over political minutia, the sort of reality TV aspect of politics, become, well, almost like a substitute religion or a major hobby for so many people, consuming hours and hours of attention every day?
Something to definitely mull over. We'll leave you with that thought until our next deep dive.